r/ask Reddit. What is a random thing that gives you severe anxiety? Seeing someone you kinda know in public. For example, someone who went to your high school but you never really hung out with the same people but they were in the same class as you. Do I say hi? Do I ignore and risk being rude? I have no idea. I ignore them or turn the other way. I'm way too socially awkward. Sigh. LOL, I feel this. Had it recently. It's hard because I know it's someone I grew up with and I know she knows the same, but I can't bring myself to say anything, so I act oblivious and avoid eye contact. I'm too socially awkward too, but duck it, you and I both should act on it next time it happens. We need to talk. That's alright. I didn't need normal blood pressure today. If someone says this to me, I will do everything I can to make that talk happen right then and there. I can take the feeling of dread for a whole day. Let's just talk now then. And then it turns out to be something really trivial. Don't start with that. My alarm tone. Doesn't matter if I'm using it just to time the oven when I'm cooking something. Still gives me anxiety when I hear it. When someone has my alarm as their ringtone. Nothing makes me want to smash a stranger's phone more than this. That's why I always download my alarm tones and make them something unusual. When two people are having an argument in a room I'm in, even though the argument has absolutely nothing to do with me. This, listening to two people argue or fight, really ducks with me. Thanks mom and dad. Windows after dark. As soon as I notice a window that isn't covered by curtains, I get extremely nervous and can't focus on anything else until it's covered. Like, anything could be out there. Never met someone else with this fear. I know it's weird, but I've always been afraid of looking outside at night and just seeing something I'm not supposed to see, like a murder or ducking Bigfoot. It doesn't matter. Always scares the shit out of me. My parents' house had a giant picture window with 3 smaller windows that could open beneath it. One night I looked at the window and in the very corner of the lower right window I saw a man's face staring in at me. After thoroughly throwing a fit, I finally realized it was my neighbor trying to get my attention since I was wearing headphones and couldn't hear him knocking, but I died a little that night. I deliver pizza, so anyone that doesn't answer the door within 3 minutes, I'm just standing there wondering if a bunch of punks are ducking with me, staring through the window, Snapchatting me or some shit. Edit. It almost didn't make sense. So I fixed it. Edit 2. Holy shit. R.I.P. Inbox. I manage a pizza place and anytime my late night drivers take a little too long to make it back, I'm flipping out thinking they're getting robbed or something. It's usually them just meandering instead of coming directly back, but still. Side note, being Snapchatted without my knowledge also gives me anxiety. Oh, I always feel like someone's maxed out their zoom on my face. When I'm getting change at the register and I'm trying to put the money back into my wallet. How does everyone else do it? Especially when you're standing in a long line. I would prefer to have bills in order by value in my wallet, but I just stuff it all in my pocket to sort out later so people won't stare at me. Cram it in and trudge it later. Knocks on the door when I'm not expecting anyone. Drives me insane and scares me for no reason. It's because who the duck just goes and knocks on somebody's door anymore with texting calling first to let you know they're coming over? People you don't know. That's who. Strangers wearing masks. That's who. Those robot voice storm warnings on TV with the loud honking sort of noise in between. Especially at night in the dark. Edit. This is the most I've ever been upvoted on anything. Whoa. Thank you. Reddit. My 7-year-old daughter loses her shit when these come on. Dude, I'm 40 years old. I got an Amber Alert text message on all the cell phones in the house. At 11:30 PM. I was dead asleep, but almost had a heart attack and pissed myself. I feel the same way as your daughter does. Calling in sick for work. Yes, even if I'm actually dying. I feel like my boss is gonna fire me over the phone, on the spot. My job is amazing. No need to speak to a person to call in sick. I call in, follow the prompts by pressing buttons on my keypad and hang up the phone. I can do this up to 7 times a year without a medical certificate. The thought of oversleeping something while in bed freaks me out, then I cannot stop thinking about it even though my alarms always wake me up every morning. Ugh, I always have nightmares about oversleeping and wake up less than 5 minutes before my alarm. I don't know about severe, but when I call to order a pizza, I rehearse the whole interaction in my head like 3 times before I work myself up to actually dialing the phone. Thank goodness for online ordering. Pretty much the only reason why I go to my hair salon is because I can make my appointments online. Driving down a 2-lane highway at night, I assume every car I pass is gonna end my life. Especially when they have those unnecessarily bright headlights and you can't even tell what lane they're in, so you stare at the road directly in front of your car, clenching the wheel trying to stay perfectly in your own lane until it passes. My mother taught me something 15 years ago when I first started driving that I use every time. In these situations, it's nearly impossible to see the road in front of you. So instead, watch the white line on the outside of the road. It is remarkably easy to see and will allow you to ensure you're still in your lane, as well as follow any curves in the road. Edit. Grammar. Listening to voicemails. Listening, just seeing the voicemail icon gives me shivers. Because they are always just mom, dad, unknown numbers, and that one friend who won't accept that you only text. Phone calls. Yep, I really have to psych myself up for phone calls. They're so immediate. What if the person on the other end asks for information that I don't have with me right then, and anybody standing around could be listening to my conversation, judging me, wondering why do you use a different voice on the phone, or why did you answer the phone that way, and you have to make decisions like what day you'd like an appointment. Only you can call wanting to make an appointment for one day and then they don't have any openings that day, so you have to pick a different one 3 months from now, and who knows what my schedule will be like then. And calling for a doctor appointment is awful because you have to describe all the embarrassing stuff that's happening to you out loud. Half the time with your co-workers listening, since nobody answers the phone except during the workday. It's just awful. Congratulations. It seems it's contagious. Now I'm anxious on the phone too. A sudden change in my plans that I can't do a thing about. It doesn't have to be big. Like my running late can derail me pretty fast. If I expect something to happen in a certain way, time or order, it just kills me if it doesn't. Edit. Thank you for all the replies. Just woke up and read through them all. Feels nice to know that I'm not alone with this. Some of you have pointed out Asperger's autism as a cause, and I have a lot of other traits that also point to that. I have never gotten an evaluation though, so I can't say that that's the cause for sure. My ex and I were on completely different terms when it came to time. Her idea of being on time was, I'll get there when I get there. I know it's cliche, but here is some shit. If I was picking her up from the condo, I would call and tell her I was downstairs 10-15 minutes before I arrived, which would have followed an earlier call telling her I was on my way. 8 times out of 10 she wouldn't be downstairs cause she wouldn't start getting ready till I told her I was downstairs too. Once or twice a month, I would find out, on the day off, that we had a meal at her parents' house. I didn't mind her parents, but I have to psych myself up for these things. They cannot be sprung on me. 3. When we went to said meals, we would arrive late because of her difficulty with time management, and would always leave an hour or 2 after we had agreed to leave. It got to the point where we drove separately for. She couldn't understand why she was getting in trouble at work for not showing up when her boss asked her to. I took a shorter lunch to make up for it. If your boss says to be there at 8, that doesn't mean show up at 8:30 and take a shorter lunch beyond just being bad habits. This behavior is selfish and not what I was looking for in a partner. That was therapeutic. I got stressed reading that. Paying by card. When I know that there's money in the account, but I always panic that it's going to decline. You get one of those registers that takes just a little too long for the approval to go through and you're all like, oh shit. The sound that the new chip makes on the ATM cards now makes it sound like it won't go through. It sounds so negative. I just rather use cash now. House centipedes. No other insect really bothers me, but house centipedes always freeze me up. They scream. One night I went into the garage for an extension cord. It was plugged into the wall right next to the door, so I didn't turn on the lights, just opened the door and reached for the plug. This ungodly shriek came from it right before I grabbed it. After my heart started beating again, I turned on the lights and there was a house centipede sitting on top of the plug. Edit. Lots of differing opinions on if that's what I heard. It's been years since it happened and memory is a tricky thing. I've searched and have failed to find anything supporting my experience. U/Garnet Squirrefro posted a video of a flat-tailed centipede hissing rattling that is kinda reminiscent of what I heard. But that's a different species. And it seemed more like a whistle than a rattle like in the video. Something did a whistling shriek right next to my hand and stopped me from grabbing one in the dark. Nothing else was in the vicinity that could have made the sound. They scream. Don't you ducking do this to me. I had a nightmare that they could whisper to me, and it sucked. I refuse to believe this is real. When someone rings my doorbell. Dude, when I get a knock on my door, my immediate reaction is to hide. I do hide. Driving. I'm always making up scenarios in my head that could result in death or other bodily injuries, especially if I need to pass an 18-wheeler or something. Don't. I repeat, don't watch Russian car crash compilation videos under any circumstances. Well, I know what I'm watching now. When they flip the blizzard upside down at Dairy Queen. I worked there and had to do this hundreds of times over the course of 6 months, and let me tell you, it gives us anxiety too. I went through a drive-thru for a blizzard once about 10 years ago, and the person who made it had accidentally gotten 2 cups. When the cashier turned it over, the inside cup fell to the ground and she was standing there shocked with an empty cup in her hand. I felt really sorry for her. Now every time I see someone do it, that moment flashes through my head. Being home alone for the night and turning all the lights off in your house before going to sleep ducks me up. I used to hate having to turn the last light out then sprint to bed. I always feared that a hand would grab my ankle as I was about to get in, which resulted in me taking terrifying flying leaps in the dark to the safety of my comforter. Problem has been resolved with the purchase of a clap light. Call it old-fashioned or whatever, but that thing is fantastic. Totally used to do this. Now my bed sits on the floor with no space under it, which definitely helps my fears if something grabbing my ankle. I've closed up that hypothetical monster space. I still won't sleep with my foot hanging off the bed, though. When my gas tank is nearing empty, I always make sure I have enough money for gas. But, damn, the closer it gets I find myself checking it every 2 seconds and I get so anxious. For some people it isn't even a money thing. My husband thinks it is more of a time thing. He gets annoyed having to stop for gas. Our car makes a beep noise when the light comes on, and it gives me mind-boggling amounts of anxiety. Namely because last summer my husband was adamant that we could make it to the next exit while driving the Pennsylvania Turnpike. We didn't. I don't get that, but I'm the reverse type of person. I fuel up half a tank like a first responder, thinking at any moment I might need to dart, and stopping for gas in an emergency wouldn't be possible. When someone interrupts me when I first start talking and everyone else just picks up on what they said and the whole conversation just moves on. Like, I understand that some interruptions happen, but when I literally can't even get a word in I feel ready to scream. OMG, I hate this, especially in meetings when you're expected to bring up your ideas. This happens to me so much. I don't know what it is, but people don't hear me or ignore me. I think it's been happening less because I've gotten louder and have tried to make my personality more noticeable. But that's the worst feeling. Everyone moves on without you and you instantly feel like you're not part of the group. Walking around a mall, I feel like everyone is looking at me and judging. Do you ever get those moments where you're conscious of your waking and forget how to do it naturally? Especially if you're high. My answer would be much shorter if this question were what is a random thing that doesn't give you anxiety? Staying at home in bed where there's no people. I feel this so hard. When I order food and it's difficult, I have the McDonald's app that has their own coupons on it. I go and there is always an issue and always holds up the flow. I don't go there anymore due to that. Online pizza ordering that gives a formal option for no tomato sauce is a lifesaver. All those years of ordering verbally were terrible. Saying it multiple times, having the person be perplexed by the order, and then still getting the wrong thing. Oh duck yes. So much this. I'm not allergic to tomatoes, but I have such a strong aversion to them that I'll throw up if I even smell a tomato product, especially ketchup, too strongly. My boyfriend doesn't understand why I'm a nervous wreck just eating inside of McDonald's, because it reeks of duck and ketchup. Domino's online ordering is the absolute best thing to ever happen to me. I feel like normal food people think it's like ordering a pizza and getting sausage instead of pepperoni. But to people like me, ordering a pizza and getting sauce is the equivalent of ordering my pizza and a pizza with a layer of ketchup under the cheese shows up. Sigh approaching strangers. I don't know why it's engraved in my mind that every person I don't know will tell me to duck off, but it's there every time. You never know if you should smile and look them in the eyes or not, because if you do, you could look like a creep, but if you don't, you could look like a creep. Talking to someone I don't know on the phone. Talking to someone I don't know on the phone. Talking to someone I don't know on the phone. Going twice to the same shop in a day. Buying products in the supermarket from which cashier can interfere what I will be eating doing. Sitting in the bus when teenagers come in laughing. Seeing someone who you barely know and don't know if you know him her well enough to say hi. Those stupid first day of school, first day of work things where you say your name and tell a few things about yourself. I rehearse it so many times in my head that I always spew out my words at 100 miles per hour. Answering the phone, I don't know what to say, I need a script, or talking to people I stutter if I have no idea what to say. This is some next level slam poetry right here. Walking by myself. It's non-stop, I walk like a ducking idiot and someone is probably staring at me because of my dumb smirk that I don't even realize I am making. When in reality I'm just another random a-hole that they look at and forget in 0.05 seconds. Getting a haircut. Driving in the rain and feeling judged for the speed of my windshield wipers. I don't like small rooms with a lot of people in them. Small rooms with just me in them. No problems. Crowded elevators make me freak me out. Going to buy something relatively cheap and worry about how much money I have on my card. Example, buy ice cream cone for $2.50. No, I have $4.00 in bank account but somehow feel a little overdraft still. Being late. Even if it looks like I'll be delayed by just 5 minutes, I start to feel so sick that I'd rather just go home than show up late. Even being right on time leaves me flustered. TLWR. Shopping alone. Because I always had paranoid thoughts in the back of my head when I shop, like, I wonder if I'll look suspicious, I wonder if the employees think I'm going to shoplift, I hope the sensors don't accidentally go off on me and they accuse me of stealing etc. It used to be just a small thought that I'd get in the back of my head that I found amusing. It wasn't until I had a bad experience with a security guard that confirmed my paranoid thoughts. Now I get actual anxiety when I go to the store alone. Now, I plan what I'm going to get before I go to the store. I take only how much money I'll need and no extra. To disable myself from even entertaining the idea of window shopping equals extended time in the store equals me looking more suspicious equals increased susceptibility to being checked for shoplifting. I go to the store and get what I need right away. Buy it and leave as quickly as possible. Self-checkout registers. If the store has them. I also try to avoid employees, don't interact with employees. I'm usually so on edge when shopping alone that I get quiet and teary-eyed like a toddler if an employee so much as asks me if I need help looking for something. My brain reads it as, let me help you find what you need so we can get your suspicious looking ass out of our store ASAP so you won't shoplift from us. Edit. Going to specify this due to a few comments. When I say I avoid employees, I mean more like I try to avoid social interaction. I don't mean avoid like I'm trying to hide from them. I mean more like I need help finding an item but I'm too nervous to ask for help, so I won't ask for help even though I need it. Avoiding. I'm going to use self-checkout instead of human checkout. Avoiding. Seeing elders use their computers. They click on folders once thinking it'll open soon and we just sit there for 2 minutes before they think they should click again. They always leave the screen of a video as small as possible without ever adjusting the screen size or going full screen. They also drag their very low sensitivity mouse across the screen over the video and to try to click pause after 2 attempts from misclicking. when they can pause it by clicking the vid itself. Also how they leave the ads running on the video, the bottom bar ad, and not having ad blocker period. They also can't remember any of their passwords and believe the computer is a smart omnipotent being. It's only a tool which only does what you tell it to do. End of rant. Anything that reminds me of my ex. Trying to talk to someone who I have a huge crush on. I laugh at the most inappropriate times because I can't believe I'm there with them trying to hold a normal conversation. What is a normal conversation? Anyway, edit. Obligatory most upvoted comment of my Reddit life. And if my crush sees this, call me. You have my number and I'm willing to put up with all the baggage you come with as long as you'll put up with my mom. Plus I have a rice cooker and all the stupid, corny jokes. Having less than 2 rolls of bath tissue in the house. A notification popping up on my phone asking what gives me severe anxiety and spelling. Lost media is really cool and I love researching it, but I find a lot of it to be unsettling and creepy for some reason I can't explain. Just the fact that something can just disappear but still be in some people's collective memories is cool but anxiety inducing at the same time. Like, should I give a shit that some Pinwheel or Sesame Street short that was made years before I was born is probably lost to time? No, probably not. But there's part of me that wants it to be unlost and that's anxious that media like that can get lost in the first place. The thought of eternity. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.